So every episode I've done so far has just been with me alone, and I think it's good. It's really good that way. But once in a while, I want to bring somebody on that can really have a different outlook on things, and somebody that's got an interest in helping others as well. And so today we get to do that. This guy, it's an honor to have him. It's a guy that's been coaching for almost 20 years now. He's been a tennis pro since 2008. This dude has been a part of not one state title, not two state titles. This guy has been a part of 10 state titles. He's coached a team to top 25 in the country, and right now he is coaching a top 10 in the world junior wheelchair tennis player. He also happens to be my twin brother. Jason Tipton, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Just excited to talk about the journey and interested in what other people will take back from the things we have to share today.
Yeah, I agree. So it's obvious that we came from the same background, same raising, but we took two different paths. I found myself in business, and somehow you got to coaching, and that's what I'd really like to know. As much as we talk, we've never really talked about that. So what in the world got you into the coaching?
Well, I think it started out kind of typically how coaches might get into coaching. Originally, coaching wasn't in the plan. I wasn't exactly sure which direction I wanted to go. There were a lot of opportunities coming out of high school, and college was the obvious next step, but I had looked at trades. I wasn't totally convinced exactly which direction I was going. Fortunately, I had some, decent mentors that kind of gave me some advice and pointed me in a direction, and I took their advice and moved forward with it. But, ultimately, I checked out a lot of different careers along the way. I didn't jump into coaching right away, but I did find myself in college pursuing a exercise science degree. Now it's health and human performance, and through that process, I started working at a local tennis club, and quickly while being there, it was brought to my attention by my director that I needed to take a chance at being a tennis pro. He felt that in general, a PE teacher or a mentality would be a great thing to have in a tennis pro. And he took me in that direction and said, "Hey, you need to get certified." And I went through that process and went down that road of getting certified. And by the time I graduated college, I had a client list that was helping me generate income that I would have made as a teacher, and I continued in that route.
Wow. So this guy made a difference in your life. You took a chance.
Sure,
You took a chance, and you listened to somebody, and that guy. Would you say that led you in the? Was that the starting point, you think, of like the direction you wanted to go?
I was so. College is a grind, and I had, which you had a similar experience. I was looking at what it might look like to play tennis collegiately, and quickly understood that I was going to have to work and go to school, and that's the route I chose. I didn't choose to grind it out and try to place take that super competitive route, which I would have, looking back, loved to have maybe pushed in that direction more. But at the time, I thought I had limited options, and I had that opportunity. I didn't want to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So, just having that brought to my attention, I don't know that I would have come to that conclusion had someone not said, "Hey, I think you would make a great tennis instructor.
Right.
You're positive, you got a great attitude, you're obviously eager to learn." And I think he welcomed also sharing that information. It was something he probably enjoyed as well. And I was like, okay, well, this guy sees something. Maybe there's something there. And, not that I probably would have enjoyed the summers off Love the
Yeah.
teacher schedule, but I haven't lived that life ever.
So I got to ask you. So you coached at some of the finest schools in the area, but I know where we came from. We came from a bottom end public school, and you played tennis there. How in the world did you get yourself into the door of some of these schools that you have been a part of and created these championships and this great history? How did you get to what got your foot in the door?
I tell you, if I had to really single it down, so much of it has to do with paying attention to the relationships that I had with people around me. They just through tennis, through people coming to the club, people playing in our leagues. Some of the teams I jumped in and just coached a local middle school team that was using our facility that I was working at, and quickly I had people just looking out for me. They're like, man, they're just hardworking. He's obviously trying to do great for our kids, and so I had people reaching out to me when they heard of an opportunity for me, when they were like, man, this could be a good chance for him.
Yeah.
And so I've always just tried to take care of the people around me, and in turn, they kind of looked out for me in the same way. So much of it has been building relationships with people.
And so I will agree, and I'll second that. I think the success that both of us have found has ended up having a lot to do with the people that were around us, or the people that we came into contact with that seen something in us and helped us get to the next step. So, all right. So I want to move on to let's fast forward a little bit. Let's
Sure.
go to the coach you are today. What are you looking for? Like you're obviously successful and you know how to coach and you know how to bring these kids along into something that's very competitive. What are you looking for in these kids that make them number one coachable, but also what are you looking for in them that you know that they can win?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think there was a book I read recently. I the name I can't remember the name right now, but there were three things in the book that just continue to stick out, and it was about a soccer team, and part of their motto was to work hard, stay committed, and have faith. And I think just trying to find kids that understand it's not all about tennis, it's not all about the wins and losses. To find kids that enjoy tennis, they have a passion for it, but as much as it is about the tennis, it's trying to find kids that just are looking for an outlet, and they're looking for something that can push them, that can drive them. And with tennis in particular, and I know athletics is a big part of just pushing kids, finding the just those life lessons that you get from tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much of that. I think tennis translates in a big way. So I'm just looking for kids that are just wanting to compete at a really high level, but they understand why they're doing it. It's not just for them. It's for their teammates. It's for a bigger purpose. So when you're trying to line up, personal philosophies, it's difficult, but obviously we welcome it. Kids that want to go professional.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be completely honest with those kids. You want to be professional? Well, here's the route. Here's what we can do for you. Here's what we can't do for you. We're never making promises that we're not going to be able to keep.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to the ground level, I want kids that are disciplined, that understand what their goals are. If their goal is to be the best high school tennis player, I'm going to help them be that. If their goal is to be to go play for Team USA, if their goal is to take that professional route, I can get them as far as we can get them, and we can tell them exactly what we're going to do for them. And I think it's coming in and being just as clear with expectations and goals as possible. And once we do that, we put a plan together and we do our best to execute it. So again, I think when we're looking for kids to come into a program, it's all about the communication on the front end. Everybody understanding what everybody needs to do for each other and
Yeah.
lining up our philosophy and goals.
Yeah. So I know we've already touched on it a little bit, but the mentorship, and then myself, I'm heavy into this. Like, I think life coach, I think everybody should have a life coach, and I think everybody should be a life coach to someone else too that's not quite as far along as they are. Do you think that your style of coaching and what you've talked about, what you're looking for in this person, does that also move forward into life?
Yeah, I mean that's still that's still the number one goal, is not just to create the best tennis player that we can create, but create the best human being we can create. Someone
Yeah.
who's humble and kind, but hardworking and committed, and understands what to put first, second, and third in their lives in order to keep a balanced, keep their life, balanced and kind of taking care of the right things. But
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you've got a kid in place and they're not following the what you're looking for. Say somebody's missing one thing. Say they're missing the discipline. Say they're showing up late. Does that follow through in the rest of their career? Like, do you see that? Like, if you've not been able to fix that for that person, does their lack of discipline to their self affect directly like how they compete?
yeah, I think doing the hard stuff. I mean, discipline is doing the stuff you don't want to do, but doing it anyway. So if you can do that when you're young, when you don't have life's pressure coming in, you're not adulting yet.
Mm-hmm.
The sooner you can develop that, the easier it's going to be to maintain it. So if you don't have it, and now you're behind the eight ball trying to figure out a way out, it's hard to get discipline. I mean, it's forced on you at a certain point. If you want to succeed, you got to have some discipline.
Learning that early in life is definitely a benefit.
And something that I don't think, I mean, we were a part of the dial-up internet generation. So
that we were.
So now there's so many outlets for people to have mentors with a click of a button. There's a million mentors. Obviously, you got to find the right one, the one that meets your philosophy and your goals and has your values and can become a good mentor for you. So there's just more opportunity to have that. I don't think we didn't have that. We had the people around us, and we had to take what was good from each of those individuals and understand the negative things and go, okay, well, I know I don't want that. Find the positive things and go, okay, well, how do I take the positive things and then go turn myself into a better person? So,
man, well said. That's exactly right. I agree completely. Speaking of the negative situations, so like, I know that we've both landed somewhere pretty good. We're on our way. We're still, neither one of us are where we want to go because we always create new goals. But tell me about a time that you thought that maybe you messed up when you decided to be a coach. And it could be like, it doesn't have to be right away, but like, what about a coaching career ending somewhere? Or like, is that detrimental to you? And how did you get past that and keep moving?
well, I think for sure there are always obstacles in whatever job and every career that you're in. And the moment that my philosophy, my vision no longer aligned with who I'm working for, it's not that I'm not still trying to find a way into that and trying to find a balance. I think everyone gets to a place where they know it's time to go. It's time to move on. You got to look for the next opportunity. And that's part of, I think, growth in all of us. It's easy to stay where it's comfortable. And in order to really move forward, you got to put yourself in different situations. And sometimes you got to take a leap of faith and see if that next opportunity is the right one.
Yeah.
It could have been the wrong one, and then I would have been searching for another opportunity.
Yeah.
But before I took that leap of faith for the next opportunity, I did my homework. I talked to who I was going to work for. We had lots of in-depth conversations, and to the point that I got to understand how they felt, um, just about putting a program together in general. And the moment that I realized that I share a similar vision and have similar life values, that's where I need to go. And in one job, I had two just amazing guys that, one was he was absolutely disciplined. I mean, incredible athlete, coach, understood how to give expectations to the kids he was coaching, and they loved him for it. And, another coach that was incredibly talented athletically and just had a big heart. And I think putting those two guys together, I've always tried to go somewhere in between and go, man, how can I take that? Now, in my situation, obviously I had worked there for a decade or longer, and the guys that I was working with that I loved working with were no longer there. They retired and moved on to other opportunities. And so, that left me going, okay, what is the next opportunity? We don't have to stay here for 40 years. Yeah. There can be a better way.
And so, what I really appreciate in that is that you looked for the opportunity. And, I mean, I know your history, so you have not made lateral moves. Your moves have always been for improvement. And so how did you get yourself looking? Like, how did you look for the opportunity, and what brought that out as to, like, is it coming to me or am I going to it?
Well, I think number one, I think you got to look at, and I'll just use an example of, athletes looking for a college scholarship, right? So if I want to go play at UT, I'm going to have to be incredibly talented. But I also have to pursue that. I need to make contact with the school. I need to make visits to the school. I need to potentially get to know some of the guys on the team. I mean, there's a lot of planning that goes. Like, you've got to chase the opportunity. That coach, how many tennis players are there in the world?
Exactly.
The reach is, however, 13,000 miles around to the other side of the world. That's the reach of most colleges. So they're not going to find you. You got to go chase it. And that's kind of my mentality was, let me go find the system that I want to be in. Let me go find the people that I want to work with. And I'm going to chase it. I'm going to start the conversation. I'm going to send the email. Have I had people reach out to me? Absolutely, which has been great. I love the conversation, love an opportunity to get to know somebody. But the ones that I've taken are generally the ones that I've chased. Yeah. So, and my current role, there was actually someone that I met. It would have been like 2006, 2008, something around there. That when we just jump back to building relationships, that this person also had a role in pointing out, hey, there might be an opportunity there.
Gotcha.
Because I think I could have stayed where I was, and that's what's comfortable. I know the hours, I know who I'm working with, I know the role, checked all the boxes, win percentage, all of the, okay, it's great. But I had reached a point that it was consuming. That is all I thought about. I didn't have I definitely did not have the balance that I wanted at home. I wasn't giving my kids exactly the attention that I wanted to give them. And that wasn't the job's fault. That was my fault. I mean, I took it on and just got super focused And
Yeah.
I think you just kind of got tunnel vision for a little bit, going, okay, here,
So headstrong about getting somewhere.
yeah, it's just like I'm pushing career, let's go, let's push.
Yeah.
Kids can get better, and generally, when you're doing the things that it takes in order to be a top 20 team in the country, you don't get there by not trying.
Yeah.
And so if we're teaching kids discipline, if they understand how to compete as a team for their teammates, and they're doing it all for more than wins and losses, if we can do that, it's going to be worth playing the game.
Yeah.
But I got to a point where I had lost that balance, and I had gotten so focused on working and coaching and teaching, and I knew that the next opportunity needed to be something that who I worked for believed that I could do both.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So in general, I think it's look for the opportunity. It could be the person that you hold a door open for while they're whatever, letting them in a restaurant, and they just say hi to you, and you make a quick connection, and you start a quick conversation, and before you know it, you got a job offer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It
just,
can happen.
I think
It can happen.
people get to the point where they don't think other people want to talk to them. Like
That's not the case.
like that person is high up in the organization, or you're afraid to reach out. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, they don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
But in reality,
Yeah.
they were in your same position.
And so you touched on something, and I want to go back to it, but we got to get to the last question here in a second. But you talked about sacrifice. You sacrificed some family time. I think everybody that I know that has been successful, it came with sacrifice. But in my mind, the sacrifice was temporary. It comes back to you, and you get to enjoy all that. But was the sacrifice worth it for you?
Yeah, I think fortunately, my kids were young, so in that aspect, I made it a little harder on the wife,
Yeah.
and that's part of starting careers. She has her own career, worked crazy hours. We both have been in that situation, and thankfully, she took on the role to pick up the ball where I dropped it. And we both understood our kids were young. And if there's a time for that to happen, it makes more sense to do it then. And now that they're older, they need me more, and I need them more. It's a good fit as the kids got older to look back and go, that wasn't the end of the world. That wasn't the worst thing. Would I love to have it back? Of course, I would have loved to have spent more time with them, but I also don't know where I'd be if I didn't sacrifice a little bit and get really driven for a couple, 2, 3, 4 years to just go, this is what I need to do.
Yeah. So those accomplishments that you made in that period of time, you're still benefiting from that today, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I was a part of a school that had a boarding program. We had the opportunity to bring kids in from all over the world. So I enjoyed that aspect. Being able to bring kids in, to expose them to this country, and for me to get exposure to their family, and I mean, it was just I think it was a great opportunity. I was a part of a coaching staff, and the two guys that I mentioned earlier, both had played collegiately, both at a fairly high level. One coached collegiately, and the other was crazy talented, NCAA state champ, team champ. Just extraordinarily talented. So, I think I was fortunate to benefit from them knowing what they were doing, and they understood and were willing to teach.
Yeah.
So even though there was a win, a state title win the first year I was there, in no way am I coming in saying that was what I did.
Yeah.
I was able to step in that year with a couple of guys who were super established, that knew what they were doing, that were confident in their ability, and were willing to help a green coach not be so green anymore.
Yeah.
And so through that, I got a lot of help from those guys.
I think that's how much it matters of who you got around you. You got some winners around you, you're going to be a winner.
Well, for me, when I started there, at sort of the first job outside of a club, coaching a high school team, I was an assistant coach. And before I left, I had an opportunity to be a head coach for a couple years at that school. And so I got to experience it from the beginning. I was able to transition into that and to taking on that role from assistant all the way to head coach. And now I've got another opportunity in a director position. So, I mean, the idea is that when you can sacrifice, when you can put in the work when you're young, it's just easier to do before family and kids. I'm 100%, I think, benefiting from what I was a part of years ago. Now, in no way do I look back and think I deserve anything. Every year I go, what are we accomplishing this year? What are our goals? So I don't necessarily look back and go, those 10 state titles were great. It was a great experience. Love the kids, and I learned a lot. So, looking forward is generally what I'm doing. Try to be as present as I can, but I'm generally looking forward going, it's not just what's next. It's, we got 3 goals for the next 3 months. Here's the checklist. Here's what we're going to go do. And if we all work hard, we all have the same goal, by the end of it, we're going to get really close to a much bigger goal. And that means more state titles, and that means we're improving, and we're going to give more kids opportunity to go play at the next level if that's what they want. So,
nice. So, all right, last question for you. So, if there's 3 things, just 3, like if we limit it to 3 things, if you were to literally like to engrave this into the minds of your people that are playing with you, of your students that are playing with you, if there's 3 things that you want to engrave in their mind that would take them, not just with tennis, but take them much further levels in life in general, what would they be?
well, I mean, I could easily jump back to what I mentioned earlier and just say, no matter what you're doing, if you work hard, stay committed, and have faith, you're going to get close to your goals.
Yeah.
And I really prefer to choose goals that are unattainable. I think you hear all the time from people, just have small goals. And I think that's great. You should have small goals that lead you forward to have bigger goals. I definitely think that if I had ever come to the conclusion when I was younger that I wanted to be a professional tennis player, and that I did everything that I could possibly do weekly to pursue that, but I didn't end up making it professionally, I bet I would have been an incredible college player, and that would have led to another opportunity. But had I just said, I want to be a good high school tennis player, chances are I'm not actually going to be a good high school tennis player because the goal is not big enough. I'm not pushing myself hard enough. So as much as I could come up with 3 things, just picking a big goal, and whatever that goal is, go work hard, stay consistent in what you do, stay committed to the process, to the training, and have faith in yourself and know that you're doing it for a bigger purpose. So,
Man, I love it. I love it. All right, well, we are out of time, and man, what a great conversation. We have so many good conversations, and it's the first conversation that we get to have where other people can hear it. We get to do this all the time, but to have it to where we can get it out, where people can hear, and hopefully we help some people. Hopefully we give some insight into how to move forward in life, and that's what this show is really. That's what it's all about. We're just trying to help other people and get to where they want to go. So, Jason, brother, I really appreciate you coming in today. Enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to having you on again.
yep, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.